I always start the lettering with the verticals, the straight bits. In this case, although I've drawn them fairly straight, actually these letters are going to be what's called wasted. Normally a Roman letter comes up here straight and then it does the serif at the top. But what I want here is the effect of this rising out. So it's what's called wasted. In other words, this section here is thinner than here. So it splays like that. So we've got a little bit thin, thick as we go. So I'll make my first cuts in the middle, but I'll make them shy of the edge. So this is the bit I'm going to cut now is the thinnest part. And as always, I start with a stop cut down the middle, like that. And of course I'll do that to all the letters. And then I'm going to take a cut to one side here. Swap hands. And cut the other side. Oops, get this right. This is quite a hard wood, so I'm going to definitely have to keep an eye on the sharp edges. And let's get that lined up. Make this. So I'll cut this out, and then I'll use a smaller tool to make sure the root is tidy. This is very hard wood. As I said, it's at least 40 years old, sitting in a barn somewhere, which is interesting. So this here would be the inner bit, and then I'm going to expand it. But before I do that, I'm going to cut all these letters, all the uprights, all the same. So I'm going to move my way along and cut all of them in the same way. I like to do that because it's a uniform sort of process. So I do all this in the same way, and then I'll come and do the wasting in the same way, and so on. So I'm just going to move on and start taking this out. You can see I've also taken other bits of wood out where I can, just to make life a bit easier later. So what I'm going to do now, usual thing, is I put my serifs in here. So I would put a stop cut and a stop cut, and I do the same all along. Now this is the interesting bit here. So here is the narrowest part. So what I'm going to do is splay it out with a narrower chisel. Now if this wood is soft, I would be able to push this like this with my thumb. But this is so hard, I'm not going to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to just nibble out, you see, and gradually marrying each one, just slightly expand that. The reason for doing this wasting really is because it gives it a sort of more homely look. Let me just put the stop cut in here. As if it's a little bit, it's called a rustic Roman. It's a little bit more as if it's been hand done, but without it being a lot of problems. So from here, we're going to push this out here like this. And we're finessing the edge. So what I'm really paying attention to as best I can is this edge here. And of course, when I remove the paper, I'll be able to have a second little check at it. So on this side, I'm afraid I'm going to get in the way of the camera a little bit, but I'd be just nibbling that back. Can you see how that's slightly splaying? So I'd be doing that to all the uprights, and then when I finish this, I put a serif in right at the end. So it's a fishtail chisel coming down like this into that root there, like that. And then I need to cut this off here, across there. So this corner there is deeper, and it does splay out like that. And if it is a bit of a problem getting into there, you can use your skew chisel. I should be able to just get that out there. So I'm coming along the line here, and along here. I will use that skew just down in there. So this smaller bit down here, that's a little bit deeper than everywhere else. So that's essentially how I'm going to do the ends of this edge. So I'm going to work my way along wherever I can and finesse the edges and get a little bit of a sort of flare in it where I can. So here's a couple of letters finished. I haven't put the cross bit in there. I'll do that in the next step. You can see the wasting here. You can see how it splays out. The labelling does quite well. This using the label as paper, it's holding. Except in these corners here, it's a little bit. The paper pulls in, so I'm going to have to check those afterwards, just to make sure those are okay. When I change the light, I have a last go over. This mark here, by the way, if that's confusing, that is in fact where two labels join together. That's what that's about. They're sellotaped together. Underneath here, in this point here, I've got a big knot, look. So that was causing me a bit of problems, but that seems to have worked out all right. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and do as much as I can, this sort of thing with every upright and every end that I can get hold of at this stage.